Hi, I'm going to start this channel off by telling you about a life-changing event that I had. I thought I knew what spirituality was before, but I had no idea until I tried a hallucinogen. Yes, not just any old hallucinogen. I just went like head first into apparently the strongest hallucinogen there is out there. Up until this part of my life, I had never dabbled in anything. No mushrooms, no acid, no drugs like that at all. But I kept hearing about all this ayahuasca all the time. So then I started to ask around to my friends and I said, do you know anyone that does ayahuasca? No. Do you know anyone that does ayahuasca? No. I couldn't find ayahuasca. Now, this was just before all this crap has happened in the world. I did this actually in the fall of 2018. And at the time I was thinking about, maybe I'll go to Peru or Costa Rica and I'll have an experience there. And then sure enough, someone came out of the blue and said, hey, I heard you're kind of asking around to have a deeper experience, shall we say. I said, yeah, hello. What do you got for me? He says, well, have you heard of 5-MeO DMT? And I went, what? Obviously, that's a no. So there's DMT and then there's 5-MeO DMT, which they call the God molecule for very good reason, which I will explain later on. Yeah. But you know what? I was so excited afterwards that I was thinking everyone has got to do this once in their life. And then I was also thinking, no wonder this is illegal. They don't want you to know this stuff because it totally changed the perception of my life and what my perception of what I thought life is, actually. When things are meant to be, they just kind of all fall like dominoes, right? Everything just falls into place like it should. And that's what happened with this. And I was ready. I was spiritually ready. I was like, okay, I've done a lot of like what I call wacky weekends. They're not wacky, but way back, in the 90s, people were thinking that they were wacky. Just like my yoga teacher told me in 1983 when I asked her if I could go to school to learn how to do yoga or teach yoga. And she says, don't bother. There's no money in it. Because nobody was doing yoga back then. Look at it now. It's crazy. I digress. Anyhow, one thing about me is that I don't like to do a lot of research before I go into something. I want to be able to experience it without having other people's ideas of what it's going to be like in my head. I did that before I gave birth to my kids. I thought, I'm not going to childbirth classes. I ended up using my yoga breath techniques that I had learned throughout the years. It's bad enough that people come up to you all the time and say, oh my God, well, this happened to me when, childbirth, and this happened to me, and this could happen. And it's like, fear, fear, fear. And it's like, I don't want that in my head. I want this to be my own experience without somebody else telling me their horror stories. I wanted to experience it firsthand from a very clean slate, shall we say. So I'm going to read a little bit of what happened because I did write it down. I'm going to add a couple clips into this from the actual recording because my shaman actually recorded the session for me, and you can hear me going on about it. It's just an audio, and I might insert to a little telephone conversation, little bits and pieces of a telephone conversation that I had with the guy that recommended me to her. I called him the next morning and I was just like, oh my God, I gotta, I was just like dying to tell somebody about it. Like I was just, it was crazy. It was crazy. That's all I can say. But good crazy. Like, holy shit crazy. Like, what just happened to me crazy. Yeah. Okay. So it was really weird because I didn't really have any hesitations about it, Like I wasn't scared at all. I was actually excited. I guess I was a little bit hesitant because, there's a little bit of not fear of the unknown, but delving into a new territory. I mean, it's kind of like, oh, what am I going to see? Like, what's on the other side? Is there another side? Like, what? I don't even know what I'm going to experience. In the days leading up to it, there was a very strict protocol for diet, which I followed. And there was also, you had to set your intention. One of my intentions was to experience what David Icke actually calls the dazzling darkness. I thought, that sounds cool. I think I'd like to experience that. And also, I was just kind of putting out there that I wanted to further my education in my spiritual evolution. I live about an hour away from where I was going. So on my drive in, I made sure that there was no radio on. I was setting my intention. I was calling in my angels, my higher self, whatever you want to call it, getting myself mentally prepared as much as you can for my experience. I wanted to have a really good experience. So I was just kind of concentrating as I was driving and just wanted to be in that kind of in the zone. So my shaman met me at the door, looking like this fun, funky girl, kind of like long dreads and these really relaxed kind of boho kind of clothes. When we sat down, we just had a little conversation at first, getting to know somebody. I know a lot of people are hesitant about, well, how do I trust this person? But I just, you have to listen to your intuition at some point. You have to go, okay, this feels right or it doesn't feel right. Now, I should say that before this, she did call me on the phone. We had a conversation, and it was from that conversation that I was kind of like, yep, this is the woman I want to explore this with. So she asked me if I had any questions, and I told her kind of what I've already said to you. I said, no, not really. You know what? I just want to experience it. And she says, well, there's a couple ways that we can handle this. And she gave me a couple options, and I opted for more of a native, shall we say, kind of cleansing before it all began. She had sacred tobacco, and she put some in a pipe, and she just had a mouthful of it, and then she just went over my crown chakra, and I could just feel it go pop. It was kind of really weird. And then she asked me if I wanted to smoke from the pipe. So I took a mouthful, and I didn't inhale it, and then you just all around, just again another way to cleanse yourself. And then she started to instruct me on the 5, call it 5, on the 5-MeO DMT. So she had a little pipe, and it had a little glass piece in it, and she lit it, and the glass piece shattered all over the place. Like, it shot across the room. And she was like, wow. And she says, well, it's a good thing that I had another one ready. I don't normally do that, but today I actually got another one ready. And I just looked at her and started laughing, and I said, you think there's a little bit of energy in the room? Yeah. So she showed me what the medicine looked like, and it was actually like the size of a grain of quinoa. Like, it was so tiny, I couldn't believe it, but tiny was enough. So she told me what to do, and it was just to take a deep breath in before, exhale as much as possible, and then she would hold the pipe, and I would inhale as much as I could and hold it for a count of 10, and she counted for 10. It was kind of like being an anesthesiologist before you go to surgery, and they're counting back from, well, I don't know, she counted back from 10. You hear 10, 9, 8, and you're like, oh, I'm starting to go, right? And it's like you're hanging on to it. And then when she said okay, then I just blew it out, and as soon as I was like and I know that she guided me back, so I just didn't fall and hurt myself. And then it started. The trip began. So the first place I went was in the dazzling darkness. I made it there. And there's no words to describe it. I mean, it is so black. It's full of light. And I know that's an oxymoron, but it's like a silver, but it's not. And I felt like all these stars were kind of moving like really quick past me, not stars, but light. It was just like at like a dizzying speed, but I wasn't dizzy at all. I mean, it was like slow motion, but it wasn't because it was whipping by. There are no words to explain what happens. And of course, everybody has a different experience. But my first initial reaction into this was that it was like, and all I kept saying was, oh my God, because it just kept getting bigger and more intense and bigger. And it was like, wow, like it was so cool. I'm going to read what I wrote the day after because it's so true. I fell into this loving, energetic realm of no space, no body, no mind. I was nowhere, but yet I was everywhere. And that kind of describes it. You're nothing and you're nowhere, but you're everything and you're everywhere. And I don't know how long I was in that period for. I think I was probably in there for at least 5, maybe 10 minutes. And then I came into my power. I listened to the tape and I said to myself, I am woman. Because I was so in my woman. I mean, I was like creator. I was so powerful. I was so strong. I mean, I was so happy to be a woman. And the next thing I know, I am like giving birth to the world. Like it was primal. It was primal. And you can hear it sounds like I'm giving birth. I was giving birth. I was giving birth to the world through my vagina. Absolutely. And it was, after I gave birth to the world, I gave birth to the universe. Not joking. But the super cool thing that happened when I gave birth to the universe is that when I actually pushed it from my body, that's kind of what it felt like. I pushed it out of myself. And the moment that I gave birth to the universe, I shattered into a million different pieces. And I became the universe. That was fucking cool. That was fucking amazing. I mean, it was like, whoa, wow. I am everything that ever is, ever was. I was out there with everybody. I was out there with all this other energy. I was just enormous. If there was a word that was bigger than enormous, I would use it. But again, words fail these experiences because we're not used to experiencing this kind of stuff. Remember the Hulk? Remember how the Hulk just kind of went, and then he grew so big that his clothes ripped off of him? Well, that's kind of like how I felt. That's the closest analogy I can give you. So take that, what you see, that energy of him just like, and then multiply that like a million. And then you'll understand what I felt. Yeah, it was truly amazing. So after I blew apart and became part of the universe, I was back into that dazzling darkness again. Only it was enhanced again by 1,000%. It was like phenomenal. While I was going through this, all I could say was, wow. 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 I'll see if I can play a little clip for you. It was like, yeah, that's what it was like. So as you come off of that, there's something called the twilight period where you're starting to come down a little bit, but you're still vibrating up there. So when all that dazzling darkness started to subside, I sat up and I was trying to talk to her, but I was slurring my words. It was, and she just kind of basically said, she didn't say this, but it was basically, shut up and lie down. So it's not over yet. She gently guided me to lie back down. And as I lay down, my body started to twitch, especially my left side and my left foot. Just energy. Interesting that's on the left side, feminine. Just gave birth. Hello, of course. Right? Lots of energy. Getting rid of the energy. And then I started to see colors. Colors of pink and green and yellow and blue. And then I could see my body, and it was like I was in my body, but I wasn't in my body. Like I could see my body from the perspective of my eyes being here, even though my eyes are closed, but yet I could gaze down and see what was happening on my body. And I don't know if you're familiar with what the Taurus energy field looks like. It goes around like this. I had all these little Tauruses all over my body. Just like it was going to work on me. All everywhere. They were just like little tiny things that like an infestation. It was an infestation of Taurus energy fields all over my body. And they were spinning and they're spinning in the palms of my hand, and they were spinning in my elbows and in my shoulders, like all my different joints, because, I know as an energy healer, I know that's where energy gets stuck. So it was kind of like making things flow. Now my uterus was still vibrating from giving birth to the universe. Hello, yeah, it's going to do that. I had this pale yellow energy moving from my uterus up into my heart. And then the next thing I saw was, this is pretty trippy, little heads of myself starting from around the age 2 or 3. It's funny that it wasn't before that, but there was like a head of me at 2, one at 3, 4, 5, all the way up to what I was now. And they went in a staircase, like up. So it was going from my uterus up to my heart. So it was continually moving. It wasn't going back down. It was like always, like a staircase from my uterus up into my heart. And it was just moving all the time. And it was like integrating all those lives I have lived in the past. Like the lives that we live in this existence. I'm not talking about past lives. I'm just talking about this lives, because we live a lot of different lives. And it was integrating it all together into my heart. And again, I'm just going to read a little bit about what I wrote with that experience. I realized that all of who I was, who I am, and will be are all part of me. And I was embracing and shedding and loving and incorporating all of me on this journey of life that I'm experiencing right now. And I started to cry. Tears just started to flow out of my eyes because it was a beautiful emotion, accepting yourself for who you are. It was like all the hurt I had experienced in my life was coming out, was flowing out of me, and was being replaced by love. And even now when I think about it, and it's been 3.5 years, still get a little teary-eyed about the whole experience. Yeah, that was really cool. Yeah. And just when you think that you're kind of wrapping it up, no, wrong. The next thing I knew, I felt like I was kind of like, not ripped open, but right from my crown, like right down to in between my legs, right down the center, just felt like it opened up, and the energy of the universe came down like spotlights into each one of my chakras. There was this energy exchange. It was almost like, bzzz. Without that, I mean, it was an awesome feeling, because I knew as I lay there, my eyes are still closed during all of this, but I am seeing it all. That's what happens when your third eye is open. And I'm seeing this huge exchange of energy and this healing light. I knew at that moment that I was being healed of anything that was wrong with my body. I knew in that instant that I was receiving the most powerful healing I had ever experienced in my life. So cool. So amazing. Yeah. It truly was magnificent. It was just this exchange of energy. Honest, blow you away. Awesome. I'm gonna read what happened next. Something started to pull at my heart chakra, pulling me upwards. I felt like I was being lifted off of the ground. I could feel my body being raised, like my ribcage wanted to break open. And then all of a sudden, there felt like there was a foot on me, like a foot put on my chest. And then this tug of war started to happen. This push and pull and push and pull. Now, it finally subsided, and my chest opened ever so slightly. And what I can only describe is like a pimple. It sounds gross, but again, words fail when you're trying to talk about this kind of stuff. So I'm trying to make it relatable for you. And then all of a sudden, it just went pop. It wasn't a huge pop. It was just like pop. And I knew in that instance, everything was well. And maybe that was just the last little bit of negativity that needed to leave my body. It was just like maybe a little like a fart. Okay, gone. You can totally drive home after this because it's a short experience. It's in your body fast, obviously, and it leaves your body fast. So there's no, it doesn't hang around for a long time. I don't think you could handle a long time. Although I think maybe I'd like to try. As I drove home, my uterus alive with energy from hip bone to hip bone, I was overcome with a great sense of humbleness. Humbleness for the experience I just received. Humbleness for my shaman, myself, the planet, and all of humankind. We know so little about this thing we call life, yet we are so powerful, so eternal, so magnificent, that I truly wish everyone could experience what I did. If everyone experienced what I experienced, it would be a totally different world. We'd realize that hatred and bigotry, anger and killing, hurting people and all living things only hurts all of us. What we're living now is all an illusion. We are infinite in our beings and in ourselves. We need to learn to love ourselves, love the planet, and love each other. We are here to enjoy everything the planet has to offer. The sound of waves crashing, the butterflies with their miraculous transformation, the smells of the dew on a fall day, the magnificence of Mother Nature from her powerful lava eruptions to snow-capped mountains. It truly is a magical place, but we need to stop and recognize it. Not beyond the hamster wheel of life, the slave that sleeps, eats, works, repeats. You need to think about what you're teaching your children. Think about how you're treating yourself, how you treat others. Recognize your thoughts. Be gentler, kinder, more patient and loving. It's all over on this journey before you know it. Stand in your power and your conviction. Stand in your truth. It's the only way things will change. I think that's really appropriate for right now especially. The world would lay down their weapons if they experienced what I did, and the understanding of who we hurt, either through weapons or the weapons of words, would comprehend that we are just hurting each other, and in turn hurting ourselves. They're all weapons, aren't they? Guns, alcohol, fists, words. My uterus was vibrating for a week. When I got home, I couldn't sleep. Now, I did take the next day off of work, thank goodness, because you do need time to integrate what happens to you. These have been held back from us on purpose. They don't want you to know what I experienced. The world would be so much different if people had that experience. And I think that that is a common theme when people are talking about psychedelics. You understand your power. You understand that this is all bullshit around us. But having said that, you also understand the beauty of what is all around us. Now, can you do this without psychedelics? Maybe. I've been trained in different forms of breathing. You can get close to that, but it doesn't take you on these places where certainly the 5-MeO will take you. Not even close. To what I experienced, was it a different reality? Or was it just my imagination? I don't know. But it did make me a better person, so I don't think it really matters. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've had any of these experiences, please let me know about it. I think it's fascinating. Until I talk to you next time, take care of yourself. And remember, when you hurt somebody else, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting all of humanity. That's got to change. That's why we're going through this right now on the planet. We're getting rid of all the negative energy. And all the positive is going to start to come in. And we're going to be smarter. And we're going to be wiser. Because nobody wants a planet with war. Our very souls don't want people telling us how to live our lives. We are free sovereign beings, put here by Creator. What that Creator is, I have no idea. But at this point, I don't care. I'm enjoying what this planet has to offer in my time here on it. Big hug to y'all.